Welcome to our second edition of the State of Distance Running in Nebraska. I am your host, Dustin Llewellyn, and I thank you for joining us today. Now, first, before we get to this list, I would like to thank a few of our partners. Number one is Nebraska Track and Field Festival. You can visit them on their website, which I have listed right here. This is April 21st. This is going to be the best of the best runners, jumpers, throwers, and all competitors in the state of Nebraska, regardless of class, are going to meet on April 21st. It will be legendary. Also like to thank Red Dirt of Omaha and Lincoln Running Company. Those two have been really at the beginning in the forefront of Nebraska Elite Track Club getting this rolling. And I'd also like to thank all of you out there and all those who helped us along the way, whether that's providing financial assistance through our GoFundMe page, good words of encouragement, cheering us on as we were out at meets throughout the year. Thank you very much. It really encouraged me and encouraged us to keep this going and rolling, hopefully in the right direction to promote what I think is the greatest sport, cross country and track and field there is, but more importantly, promote who I think are the best people out there, and those are the cross country and track and field athletes. We just finished up with Nike Cross Nationals this past Saturday, where we had two runners competing. Seth Hirsch of Millard West, a senior, and another senior from Omaha West Side, Milo Greeter. Both of these ran a phenomenal race at the regional race a few weeks prior. Seth getting second to his eventual teammate from Wisconsin, Finn. And then Milo, who led through the mile, ended up placing third. Both Seth and Milo were ranked in the top 30, marking the first time in Nebraska history that two Nebraska runners were ranked in the top 30 in the nation. Nike Cross Nationals is held at Portland. It's a Nike event, as should be obvious since it's the Nike Cross Nationals, and they put on a wonderful meet. It was a great race if you were able to watch the live webcast of that race. Seth took a lead kind of about after the mile mark and pushed pretty hard, eventually holding on to fourth place, running an exceptional time on that course. It was muddy, as the girls had run on before, and Portland this time of year, lots of rain. Milo came in 32nd, which is a huge accomplishment. He was 13 places away from the Midwest winner of Foot Locker, but only 12 seconds. So 13 places was 12 seconds. So from 19th place to 32nd was only 12 seconds. Both of those had phenomenal years and really put Nebraska on the map for distance running, which was really awesome to see the live webcast and to hear and see their stories and national figures actually talking about them. Great job, gentlemen. Seth, I can't wait to see you run at Foot Lockers, which is coming up this Saturday, and that is out at San Diego. So if you're wondering if the state of Nebraska distance running is doing well, we are doing phenomenal. Now, I know it might have been a little sad, the last football game of the year that Nebraska played against Iowa, but just to kind of cheer you up, Nebraska sent 2 runners to Nike Cross Nationals. Iowa, 0. Win for Nebraska, loss for Iowa. Now up on the board we have 2 things, and I'm covering up one for right now because I really want to focus on the Nebraska high school elite performers in the last 5 years. And I think this is really where the balls got rolling, so to speak, where we have phenomenal runners. So each name listed up here is the all-class winner of cross country. So on the girls' side for 4 years in a row, the phenomenal, amazing Lincoln North Star Geraldine Poe. She won 2011, 2012, 13, and 14. Geraldine competes for Michigan State, and at Big Tens placed 17th. Team made it to nationals, so she competed at nationals. Taylor Summers, undecided on where she's going to college, but she's got some pretty good choices up there, and I don't want to reveal any of those just because she hasn't taken all of her visits. One in 2015 holds personal bests of 214 in the 800, 457 for the 1600, and 1049, and she is back this year as a senior. And then Maisie Larson of Gretna. Watch out for her next year. She's a junior and she'll be back as a senior next year for cross and track as well. And she's going to have a great track season. It'll be kind of a showdown between these two and a few others thrown in there. Riley Rice of Ainsworth, along with Anna Jennings of Papio South, Taya Skelton of Fort Calhoun, Maddie Muma of Lincoln East, who I think is going to be the dark horse for next year, but that's for a different day. We'll talk about those. On the boys' side, we have 2011. The surprise winner, hadn't won a meet all year, takes the lead early on, and the chase pack just lets him get too big of a lead. The Lincoln East, Isaac Allen, who just finished up his competing for the University of South Dakota. Joe Harder, Millard West alum, competes now at Wichita State. Originally went to UNL for his first 2 years, but it's at Wichita State. He's a shocker with a few of his former teammates. Josh Klein, Sidney Hirsch, so they're all there. It's kind of, Wichita State is the Millard West of the South. And there's some few Millard South runners there as well. You have Wyatt McGuire, North Platte runner. Kind of shocked Seth Hirsch his freshman year. Seth had beaten him earlier in the year, but Wyatt had an amazing race at state that year, competes for UNL, and was the top performer for UNL this year in cross country at Big Ten, placing 35th. John Nouns, Creighton Prep. Woo! A little shout out for Creighton Prep there. John Nouns competes at Iowa State, and it was a real battle between him and Reno Law of Millard South that year. But Nouns was just a little bit stronger over that 5K course. He placed 26th at Big 12 for Iowa State and also ran at Nationals this year. We have Seth Hirsch winning the last 2 years as a junior and as a senior, and setting the state record, meet record of 15:04, but also running 14:56 at Millard South. Yes, it's a 5K for you people out there. Now, there are other names that we don't have up here that they're the cream of the crop. We have Aaron Lee, the former York runner who is now competing at Kansas State. We have Molly Shagru, former McCook runner competing at Oklahoma State. Katie Spencer, who had some really awesome battles with Geraldine Poe. She's at Oklahoma State. Both Spencer and Lee redshirted this year. Molly Shagru had an amazing performance, and if I look at my paperwork to make sure I get this correct, she was 21st at Big 12s. You had Sidney Hirsch, who was not on this list, but we'll definitely get to the track and field side of things here shortly. She was 8th at the Missouri Valley Conference, and then Joe Harder was 14th. So we've got some state runners in the past that are placing extremely high in their conference meets at a high level D1, and also competing at that national level. We got some other runners that are going to some of these schools, like Milo Greeter will be joining John Nouns at Iowa State. Seth is going to Wisconsin. Joe is at Wichita State. Poe at Michigan State, like I said before. So we have some amazing runners that are going out of state, and that'll kind of transition us into what's on the other side of the board, if you can see that behind me. But if you also look at the track and field, and I have that up on my screen where you can't see, these past 5 years, and we're taking the all-class winners in the 2 mile and mile. 2011, we have Aubrey Warden, won both the 2 mile and mile, and she was from Scotts Bluff. She went to Florida State and then finished her career at Arkansas, 2 powerhouses for distance running. On the boys' side, we have Thomas, and I hopefully get this last name right, Feigtinger. He was from, I think, Mount Michael, but he went to St. John's in Minnesota. He won the 2 mile both in 2011 and 2012. In 2012, on the girls' side, you had Mary Hillis win the 2 mile and mile. 2013, Sidney Hirsch, 2 mile and mile. 2014, Geraldine Poe, 2 mile and mile. 2015, Katie Spencer, 2 mile and mile. You can see a pattern until 2016. The 2 mile was won by Erin Lee, less than a second faster than Taylor Summers, who would win the all-classed mile. On the boys' side, going back to 2011, with Thomas winning the 2 mile in both 2011 and 12, you also have the same winner in the mile, Lincoln North Star Mohammed Hamden. And he actually won the mile 2011, 2012, and 2013, and competing at UNL. 2013, Joe Harder won the 2 mile. 2014, we have Jack Polarecki of Creighton Prep. He's competing at Loyola Marymount in California. You had Reno Law win the 1600. In 2015 on the boys' side, John Nouns in the 2 mile, Ty Hansen in the 1600. Ty Hansen's now at Midland with a former teammate Danny Eldaba, who originally started off at Oklahoma and then transferred up to Midland. And then in the 2 mile and mile in 2016 was Milo Greeter in both of those, which is ironic. It kind of flipped from the boys to girls side, where every year prior to that, on the boys side, whoever won the mile did not win the 2 mile until 2016. On the girls side, whoever won the 2 mile won the mile, except the last year. You had Mary Hillis, Lincoln Southwest runner, compete at Cal Poly. Sydney Hirsch, like we've said, is at Wichita State. Geraldine Poe at Michigan State. Katie Spencer at Oklahoma State. Erin Lee at Kansas State. And Taylor Summers undecided. So very few of those runners actually at UNL, which we'll kind of look at that and transition into, and then finish up with kind of where do we go from here now, as not only college, but also the high school running, to keep this momentum that so many runners before have kind of gotten us to this point of Seth Hirsch and Milo Greeter, and the list can go on, because who's that next in that mantle? Is that Jose Gonzalez of Fremont? Is that Jake Ralston of Papio South? I mean, we have a lot of runners. Even Tyler Boyle of Lincoln Southwest had an amazing season. Last race of the year, probably wasn't as good as he wanted, but he's a freshman, going to come back for the next 3 years. So what's the state of our running going to look like? So if we kind of transition over here, as I move out of the way, we've got UNL, Big Ten champs, and we know it's all about football. Right now, volleyball team is doing amazing. The Rolfson twins out of Papio South. Woo! Good job, ladies. Keep it up. Now, we got the last 5 years. Reason we did here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, actually 6 years, I can't count. 6 years, is this how many years they've been involved in the Big Ten. So on the women's side, we've got the team 7 out of 12, 12 out of 12. You can kind of see these numbers as we go through. And then we have individuals, top individuals on those teams placing at Big Tens, and only Big Tens. 22, 85, 50, 14, 72, 50. Men, 11 out of 11 for 3 years from 2011 to 2013. And then 11 out of 12, 2014 and 2015. 2016, this year, they got 10 out of 12, and their top performer, which is the best and tied for the best in the last 6 years, was 35th, Wyatt McGuire. Now, from 2008 to 2014, and then again in 2016 on the guy side, top performer from the team has been a native runner from Nebraska, high school runner from Nebraska. 2015 was not, I believe, Peter Spinks. So you can see that Nebraska's got some top runners that are going to UNL. But not all the top runners. As you can see that we have Seth Hirsch going to Wisconsin, John Nouns, Iowa State, and even on the girls' side going elsewhere. We know Nebraska has the best facilities, and that's thanks to the football program and the money that comes in. We know they have one of the best track programs in the Big Ten. They are consistently winning Big Ten titles, before that Big 12 titles, Big 8 titles. So that may lead into a little bit where those scholarships are going towards the track athletes, where distance and cross country is kind of put on the back burner. But if you see the performances that some of our runners are having, Jacob Olson, Wyatt McGuire, Bonnie Smith, Elsa Forsberg, just a freshman there this year out of Lincoln Southeast. They've got the runners, but how can we get these top runners to go to UNL? Now, I am a die-hard cross-country fan, track and field fan. of all sorts. And nobody bleeds more red for UNL and hoping they can be a powerhouse in the Big Ten. I've got friends that are former runners for there, really good kind of a bond and kinship as I was coaching at Millard South with Jay Dirksen, the coach of UNL prior to 2011 and for multiple decades. So what's kind of holding back? And we kind of want to look at that in future episodes, and we kind of want to build that kind of pipeline because we know we have amazing distance runners. But there's a disconnect between Nebraska top distance runners going to UNL and others going. Because we think, could you imagine Milo Greeter, Seth Hirsch, and some of those runners going to UNL, John Nowens, could you imagine that tandem of how they're going? So we kind of want to see and hopefully work together as NETC gets rolling. We really want to be, help the running community and serve, and we want to see all runners of any level, middle school, high school, college, post-collegiate, do their best, and whatever we can do to help promote that. So we'll kind of get into that in later episodes. And again, this is building positive relationships. We don't want to tear anybody down. We want to build those up. We want to help. We want to serve, and we really want to love those because my heart's with cross country, and I know those of you out there who are watching, and yours is as well. So where do we go from here? Well, we've got Foot Lockers, Nationals in San Diego. Seth is going to be running there. But let's look beyond this year. Let's look at the track season coming up. I can't wait for this Nebraska Track and Field Festival. I would love to see Maisie Larson, Taylor Summers, Riley Rice, Cameron Huckey, Taya Skelton, Whitney Risen, and a host of other distance runners, Anna Jennings from Class A, Class B, Class C, and Class D, and not just the distance events, but every single event out there, the best competing against the best. To have that meet, because good competition against other good competition only makes you better. And that's part of Nebraska Elite Track Club and why we do our winter runs and our summer runs together. Everybody's running their distance and their pace that's been prescribed by their high school coach. But it's an opportunity for top runners around the state to get together. And I know it's hard. Our state's pretty wide, and we've got great runners way out west, like 8 hours west or 8 hours east, depending on where you're at, to get a lot of people together. And hopefully we can get group runs across the state. Right now we have them in Omaha and Lincoln, and this past Saturday we met in Lincoln. We had runners from Lincoln North Star. We had runners from Papio South, Lincoln East, that kind of got together and ran 40 minutes. If you can get the top people competing together, that's only going to make everybody else better. And we know distance and travel is really hard, especially in the winter time. But if you can kind of commit like one, even if it's 1 weekend out of the summer or one run out of the winter with good weather, that you can commute, or say, hey, let's meet in Grand Island, let's meet in Hastings, let's meet in Kearney for a run, and get people together, because there's no better community than the distance running community. So as we look for track, there are going to be some performances on track and field that the nation is going to take notice. With Milo and Seth, there's no doubt that they're going to break 9 and maybe even 8:50. In November, 2 weeks after State Cross, they both ran a time trial together, kind of a race at Millard South. Both of them broke 9 minutes for the 3,200 meters, and that's in November. So going forward, you definitely know that's going to be there. Milo has a great chance to break that state mile record of 4:10. I think he may even go 4:08, 4:07, 4:06, and wouldn't be shocked if he hit that 4:05. Just needs to stay healthy and have good training over the winter. And hopefully, weather is always one of those things in Nebraska that we got to worry about. That's why we're trying to push for more indoor meets in Nebraska. We've reached out to some colleges. We've also reached out to these past runners to kind of give us their ideas of what kind of pulled them to going to UNL, or what pulled them away, or what factors were in there. And we got a lot of feedback, and there were some people, and we reached out to college coaches and we didn't get any feedback. So we're kind of, the more information the better to kind of make those decisions and to speak on. Once track season's gone, we've got Greeter and Hirsch graduating, we've got Summers graduating, but we've got a lot of top talent still in the state. You know, I'm excited to see who does take that next step. Jose Gonzalez, a sophomore, going to be a junior next year from Fremont. He's really a speed runner. So to see him in his kind of first full year of cross country this year and running, I think, 15:35 at Nike Cross Regionals, the Heartland Regional up in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and seeing him run that, I think really bodes well. And you know, Coach Sean McMahon of Fremont, one of the best coaches of all time in the state of Nebraska, a Hall of Fame coach. You know he's going to get him to where he needs to be. He's a top caliber and top caliber individual as well. Now, going beyond just the individuals, if you look at teams, you kind of see the same teams that kind of rise to the top. You've got Millard West, boys and girls side. You've got Papio South on their girls side, and their boys side is really making some huge strides. You've got Fremont. They are consistent and have the longest streak, 20 years in a row of going. Kearney had that before, I believe 24, 25. They made it this year, but the year prior they missed out. But Kearney's on the way back as well. And I shouldn't say they're on the way back. They had one down year, and that happens to everybody. Even happens to York High School in Illinois. Huge shout out to Joe Newton and him retiring. One of the greatest high school coaches, probably the greatest high school coach. And you can make an argument of the coach of Manilis of New York, who they've won 10 out of 11 national championships, of being the greatest. But over his longevity and national titles and producing, amazing. I love me some cross country and track and field, as you can tell. But we're kind of looking at who's going to take that next step. Who's going to continue what these people started. And even the people before that we don't have up here. Because this isn't just a 5-year swing, but if you look at the times that have been run lately, what it takes to qualify for state, what it takes to place at state, and this is across the board, Class A, Class B, Class C, Class D. We've got some amazing runners and amazing performances. You could look at the state all-time records. In the last few years, there is a plethora, word of the day, which means many, records that are being broken in the last 5 years in so many events. Now, there's some events that have been holding steady for quite some time, in those throws events. But I think, in the next few years, those are even going to be broken. Competition is getting better. And to compete, as I'm taking this from Coach Hazelhorst of Papio South, the Latin word, that means to strive together. So competing isn't trying to do better than somebody else. Competing is working together to get the best out of you and out of each other. I always like watching the end of a cross-country meet. There are no more fierce competitors than cross-country and distance runners. But before the race and after the race, they are the best of friends. And I think that's the running community and the track and field community as well. Because if you've ever sit around a discus ring or a shot put ring and you've seen those throwers, they really cheer for each other on and share stories. And just those friendships that are built are amazing. So to kind of finish and wrap this up, because I'm always long-winded and could talk for hours on this, these are the Nebraska High School elite performers. They have set the foundation to kind of propel Nebraska onto that national stage. And it was great to witness this year, but it's been great to witness over the past 12 to 13 years with me getting into coaching here in about 2003 in the winter. But I also want to look at and how we can propel not only the high school level, but UNL. I love UNL. I married into a season ticket holder family for the Husker football team. My wife's grandfather actually helped on the Devaney staff for a little while in a capacity for coaching. So I love the Huskers. I love all aspects of the Huskers. So how can we help out? Because we've seen the rise in high school running in the state, both male and female. Now how can we transition that over here? Thank you very much. We hope to see you here pretty soon because we've got some indoor meets that are coming up that we go to. The Big River, Missouri running company, they compete out of Columbia, the University of Missouri at Columbia. There's also Kansas State, KU meets. There's a Midland meet, Nebraska Westland meet. But we kind of go all over. So if you want to compete in indoor meets and you're still training, get a hold of us. Email us at nebraskaelitetc@gmail.com. You can always check out our website. I'm assuming if you're watching this, you know our website, but it's nebraskaelitetc.com.org. Ooh, almost made a mistake there. nebraskaelitetc.org. .org. We also have some camps, well, a couple of camps coming up. One is our 2-week camp in Colorado that filled up those 11 spots. However, if you still want a spot, we are going to offer here, we've got 4 people on the waiting list, but offer a 1-week camp at the beginning of June to go out to Colorado for a week, running, lectures, goal setting, mental training, you name it, we're going to cover it, college transition, all of those things, and any other thing that you want to have covered. We also have our group runs going on right now, and that's every Saturday. This Saturday is going to be in Omaha, and that's going to be at Lake Zarinsky. The following Saturday on the 17th, we're actually doing a holiday run from our house, which will have hot chocolate and cookies, and that's going to start kind of in the evening. I think it's either 5 or 6, but check out the website. And we're also doing a holiday fitness challenge. We started December 1st, and I always put out tweets. And each day we add an exercise. So day 1 was a 1-minute wall sit. The next day, day 2, was 2 walkouts. You still did the 1-minute wall sit, the 2 walkouts. Day 3, you did the 1-minute wall sit, the 2-minute walkouts. And then day 3 was scorpions. So we kind of have a lot of things going on. If there's something else that you want to see, please let us know. Again, email us. We have the Where Are They Now, which we kind of discussed a little bit where some of these athletes, but there are so many athletes. We have over 200 athletes that we know of, and we know there's probably more currently competing in college from the state of Nebraska that are all over the country, from East Coast to West Coast. So we want to hear from you, and we really want to highlight you and know what you're doing now, because you were so valuable and important to us while you were here that, hey, we kind of want to follow you, and it's always awesome seeing those results in the news. So again, if you want to see anything, you want to hear anything from us, or you want to be like, hey, you probably need to do this a little better, let us know. We would love to hear it. Thank you very much.